I want to introduce you to Samir Elhawary, who is a Senior Humanitarian Affairs Officer at OCHA, that is the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. Live in Sanaa for us. Thank you for your time, sir. With the airport having been closed for a year, and we should point out the Hodeida port as well has been limited, how has the UN and the aid agencies been managing to get the aid that you can get in?
So, basically we are able to bring aid into the country. There's lots of challenges in terms of some of the restrictions, for example, for vessels to come into the Hodeida port, which means that there are delays in bringing them in. But for humanitarian supplies, we are able to bring in those medical supplies and food items. The issue is that the humanitarian community cannot replace the commercial supplies coming in. And unfortunately, we're seeing that, that there is a lot of difficulties for boats coming in with essentials such as fuel, such as medicines, such as food, and they're not able to come in at the quantities that are needed. And the impact of that means that the availability in the country reduces, and also the prices increases. So for lots of people, they're unable to afford the basic commodities. And if you take into account that civil servants haven't received their salaries for almost a year now, and then they're also unable to afford basic items. And that's why the World Food Programme estimates that 7 million people are severely food insecure, which basically means they don't know where their next meal will come from.
What sort of quantities would you say you are able to get in? If we'd say ideally you want to get in 100% of what you need, would you say that you're operating at sort of 30, 40%, something like that?
Well, it's hard to put on a basic figure, because we're also limited by the resources that we have. At the moment, the humanitarian response plan needs 2.1 billion to meet the needs of 10 million people. And at the moment, that plan is 45% funded. So there are limited resources, which limits the amount that we can bring in. But those restrictions also reduce the speed in which we can also bring those foods in.
So
but there are mechanisms for us to bring in humanitarian aid.
I just wanted to ask about then the potential reopening of the airport. Sorry, we've got a bit of a satellite delay on us, because the Saudis seem to be saying, yeah, we'll reopen the airport if the UN takes control of it. Now, the UN is not usually in the business of taking control of airports. However, is this a plan moving forward that could work?
The airport was closed last August, so just over a year ago. And we've been calling since the beginning for the airport to be open for commercial traffic. And one of the key concerns in that regard is that there's many thousands of people here in Yemen that require specialized medical treatment abroad that can no longer be can be found here in Yemen. Especially, as you mentioned in your report, 65% of health facilities are not working. Because the airport is closed, it means that thousands have been denied access to medical treatment abroad, and therefore we're calling on the government of Yemen and the Saudi-led coalition to essentially open the airport. There was a mechanism for that to be open before August last year, and we would call for that mechanism to be reinstated in order for people to seek medical treatment abroad.
Let's see if we get any response then. Samir Elhawary from the UN's OCHA programme, thank you for joining us there from Sanaa.